Boys of every age, wouldn't you like to see something strange? Come with us and you will see this our town of Halloween. This is Halloween, this is Halloween. Pumpkins scream in the dead of night. Before I even start this particular special Halloween tarot reading, let's get a bit of schmutz off the cards. There we go. A little bit of glue, I think that was in the packing in the box. I'll quickly warn you now. Some people will actually be very uncomfortable with the imagery which is in this tarot deck. Okay, if you are someone who has, for whatever reasons, spiritual, religious, or superstitious, or you just feel anxious about certain types of spiritual imagery, I will caution you now, right now, stop this video and do not watch it. If you are of that type, if you're that kind of person, then please, 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 I've got nothing against you, I hope you don't have anything against me using a tarot deck like this, but just chill out. This is just a pack of cards, okay, but it does have demonic imagery on it. This is essentially doing a tarot reading with a demon tarot deck. I don't know whether you can see it on my ring there, very similar symbol to what's on the back of the cards, which is from the Lesser Key of Solomon, and it is the symbol of Solomon, which it is said within legend that Solomon used to control the 72 spirits. This is a tarot deck made up of those 72 particular spirits, as well as a few others, from what I understand. I would say that the reason that we've got this myth of Solomon constructing the temple in Jerusalem through the various demons, so to speak, or the lesser spirits, would be because a lot of these symbols appear to be connected to deities of Egypt and Babylon, Mesopotamia, that sort of region, and they've been made into apparently lesser spirits due to the change in the theological dynamic among certain people. And therefore these symbols, the imagery, the cartoonery in these cards, as well as the symbols on them, was used by people who believed that they had some kind of authority over the old gods of the Middle Eastern region. Some of the things that we see in the Lesser Key of Solomon I personally believe to be a hoax. I think that there is lots of revisionist history, there's lots of false history which has gone into the development of the Lesser Key of Solomon. However, that doesn't stop it from being a historically powerful work, which has contributed to occult culture, to pagan culture, the development of the neo-pagan religions, and the ceremonial magic components within Wicca itself. So there is this feeling of historicity. So I don't even know if that's the right word for it, but a feeling of history, a feeling of something good there, and therefore beneficial. So that's me giving you a bit of explanation from my point of view. You have your own. I'm not going to argue or complain, because you're a human individual with only one brain and two eyes to try and understand the world just like me. Okay? However, this is Halloween. This is actually being recorded on Halloween during the afternoon. So let's see if we can just do a general kind of tarot spread based loosely upon the Celtic cross spread, just to see what kind of things come up. Okay? Oops. I love Travis McHenry's art, but the glue which appears in the packing box carries on sticking to the cards, making it very difficult to shuffle, which makes it very challenging, but never mind. Here we go. I am, of course, the legendary and infamous, great, powerful tarot reader Nick Dutch, available for live tarot readings on Keen.com, but not using this deck. I tend to use a little bit more of a sort of more contemplative, more spiritual type deck for that sort of thing. Okay? So here we go. Happy Halloween, everyone. Maybe this reading will mean something to you. If it does, then great. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. You're here for the entertainment, you're here for something spooky, and I tend to specialize in being a bit spooky and creepy and odd. so let's go. First two positions within the Celtic crossbred, the way I learned it, is more to do with where you are in your journey, your inner self, your outer self, and the way in which you understand your life. So I'd say here, from the inner self, turns water into wine and back again, turns blood into wine, ooh, turns any metal into legal tender coins, oh I wish, alright, makes fools wise. So what aspects of that relates to yourself? I would say that you're probably in a position of trying to understand the world, trying to create change in your life, trying to develop in wisdom. You feel there's a situation in your life right now whereby you probably understand a little bit more than other people around you. Okay, so the Demon of Zagan, which connects to the Eight of Pentacles in this, and there's little Hebrew letters there which goes for him, is essentially talking about your level of wisdom, your level of knowledge, and possibly even your aspirations on the inner level which you haven't told anyone else. Now, on the outer side, the way you're presenting yourself to the outer world. Teaches arts and sciences. Tells anything one desires to know. Gives dignities, and can make any man subject to one's demands. Gives good familiars. So that could actually be, to a certain extent, the giving of inspiration, the giving of wisdom, but also connected to building up of allegiances and friends and community, and a sense of finding people who can be useful to you, and finding people who you can also be of service to. So I think that's much more to do with you trying to become more of a member of your community in a new and interesting different way. And so the demon Paimon is trying to communicate that to you, possibly through that one particular symbol. There was a time on Facebook when his seal, I don't know if you can see that on there, was photographed being glued to letterboxes and all sorts of things, with public thanks to Paimon all over the place, because someone felt that that would be a good way to appease the spirit before their own particular occult workings, which I thought was quite curious. The Lesser Key of Solomon spirituality has kind of like reached a level of thinking these days whereby there's much more of it out there than there was previously. Now, as far as like still to do with yourself in the here and now, okay, well, we're looking at different aspects of your journey. I would say different aspects of what you're trying to achieve, different aspects of the way in which you perceive your next few stages and how you're going to think things through moving into the future. This could be higher conscious and lower conscious. Alright. Builds towers or destroys stone walls, causes rough waters, finds witches. So, therefore, are you actually looking out to do things to protect yourself? Do you have some enemies at the moment? Is there some kind of feeling of conflict you're going through on the inner levels, on the psychological level, which is affecting your higher conscience reasoning? And if so, is that irrational and illogical, and is that stopping you from fulfilling your survival, prosperity on a day-to-day basis? Are you actually looking out for scapegoats for your current problem? These things need to be thought about. So maybe that's what Find is trying to teach you. Connecting to the Strength card on the tarot. Now, here we go to the more subconscious mind side of things. Steals or fetches anything requested, including money and horses, reveals secret things, brings questionable familiars. So I like the wording there, brings questionable familiars. So that's kind of like suggesting that what it's going to bring into your life isn't necessarily going to be what's right for you. But there is something about this being in the subconscious mind part of the reading, which is talking about, stealing, getting things which you don't deserve, including money and horses. Whether you actually need a horse or not, I don't know. Well, maybe that's bicycles these days, I don't know. But there's something about the id about that, isn't there? Getting something you don't deserve or haven't quite, required to have in your life. You don't need to have in your life, but your instinct is telling you, yes, I must have it. Okay, so I get the feeling maybe you're not feeling terribly good about yourself. Could this be to do with your seasonal affective disorder you're getting at the moment, affecting your self-esteem? Is something else affecting your self-esteem, taking away from you your ability to work out what you genuinely want, as opposed to what you think you want? Is your anger and irritability and frustration holding you back in terms of clarity of thinking? So that's something else to be aware of. I think a lot of this part of the reading is talking about you questioning yourself, being aware of what it is you genuinely want to get and is genuinely yours, and working out what it is your id is telling you you want, but basically isn't quite right for you right now, or you shouldn't actually be having. That would possibly make some sense if you think about it from that point of view. Okay, reflection upon the past. Makes one skilled in labour and crafts, increases knowledge of philosophy and science. A lot of these things seem to be very knowledge driven. Either it's to do with what you want, how you protect yourself, your id, subconscious desires, and trying to get that in check. But also the reflection upon the past suggests to me you've got knowledge and you've got skills which you could put into action in a much better way, but maybe you're feeling you can't do that right now. Or some life choices you've made have kind of like held you back in generating maybe a revenue, maybe self-esteem as a result of achieving based upon what you've learned in the past. I mean, was it like courses of education you've done which you can't necessarily bring into fruition right now? Was it things which you have been working on which you've had to like shelve and put aside, but maybe this is the time to start thinking about how that connects to what you genuinely want and require, so you can gain the wisdom that was talked about by Zagan. Alright. And looking for good supports to be able to help you to achieve something which is maybe more to do with who you are really as a person, as opposed to what you think you are, based upon all your internal frustrations and irritability and weird desires and so on and so forth. Just something else to think through, okay? So I think this particular tarot reading for you today is all to do with you challenging yourself and trying to get you to ask questions. Now, anticipation of the future, spoken about by the Demon Aureus, okay, teaches astrology, the virtues of the stars and the houses of the planets and how to understand them, transforms men with dignities, finds favour with friends and foes. Again, there's a bit of a mention there of like your social network, who you're talking to and how you'll be able to make the situation of your social interaction become more in line with what it is you really want to achieve. And also the idea of learning more from an outside source. Okay? So, but also there's a certain level of prophecy about that, isn't there? It says teaches astrology and the virtues of the stars and the houses and the planets. So it's about astrology, it's about looking into the future, it's about your self-nature, your self-knowledge. So I would say also, you're probably questioning some of the ways in which you've previously looked at your own life. That's a possibility. So if you're questioning the way in which you're looking at your life, then this season, maybe from Halloween through to Thanksgiving, Christmas, Yuletide, whatever, this Samhain to Yule period, this journey of this period could easily be about you reforming the sense of perception you've got about how to, not only how to bring about the positive changes in your life, but also how to avoid the negatives, working out where they actually came from, and then possibly even putting a bit of healing into that so that these negatives don't actually affect your journey into the future. Does that make sense? Think about that. Does that make sense? Right. Now, the next step, short-term, medium-term, and long-term future, as well as the extra card for the unexpected, the weird, I don't know why it's called the unexpected future part of the reading. It just is. It's a bit of history about that. I don't know, but it's that card there. That's the unexpected future. But I wouldn't worry too much. Relax. This is primarily an entertainment style tarot reading, which might actually help you in your journey. It might not. We don't know. Now, 1, 2, 3 of them are reversed. That's interesting. Well, it's curious that everything else has been upright. The meaning is precisely the way it has been mentioned in the cards. That's what upright means. Reverse means here. It's a little different. There's something different about it. It may not necessarily connect right with your goals. Okay. So the first one, Four of Pentacles, Valifor. Tempts thieves to steal. Now that connects to your subconscious mind. Part of the reading there, which was steals or fetches anything requested. But Valifor tempts thieves to steal. It's reversed. It's not an upright symbol. It's a reversed symbol. So instead of tempts thieves to steal, it's a question of, are you going to be tempted to do something which is going to have some kind of like negative impact upon you? Is there something which you're being drawn to, like, I don't know, an interest in drink or drugs or crime, or are you developing an interest in the acquisition of wealth through some kind of dodgy method, which isn't going to do you any good? And maybe it's a question of using your short-term future to question that. I mean, if I was doing this reading just for one particular person, I would say that what they're doing now is trying to work out why it is they have some negative thoughts, feelings, moods, emotions, drives, desires, and all that kind of stuff, and trying to find ways of sorting themselves out through contemplating better what they should be doing in their lives in terms of actions, practices, the way in which they are living, and so on and so forth. I mean, that's just what I feel. And I would say that maybe the first 3 months from now onwards, this particular season of Halloween, Christmas, and the Candlemas, that particular quarter of the year, which is symbolized by this card, is very much to do with going in yourself. Now, I do think that autumn and winter is kind of like an almost psychological, how shall I put it, hibernation. It's like a dream time when, you know, we make plans for the future because we've got more stuff going on in our subconscious mind anyway. And I think that this is maybe connecting to that. You know, big question mark there, but, you know, maybe it is connecting to that. This is the season of thought and thinking things through and reading different things and talking to people in a different way and trying to work out, you know, WTF is wrong with you. And also trying to work out what was it I was trying to achieve originally, and why was I so distracted and taken off track by all this stuff which has come my way as a result of my attempting to search for that which is good and true and wholesome and is going to help me out in my life path. You know, what was it that I've been learning which hasn't actually been useful to me and has actually been detrimental? Maybe that's, you know, part of the reading here. You know, quite challenging, quite complex. Okay, now moving on. I mean, some people use the meditations on these cards or on these symbols for what they call shadow work. You know, looking into their inner negative so they can try and sort themselves out. But not everyone has the psychological education or indeed like creative desire to read all the right books to be able to sort themselves out as a result of doing their, in inverted commas, shadow work. So this one here, Maribus, the medium-term future between 3 and 6 months down the line from now, causes and cures diseases. So he's a grey hat, okay? This guy called Maribas, he's a grey hat. 10 of Wands. Tells secrets and things hidden. Can make one shapeshift. So there's a message there about illusion. Okay, helping to convince other people that you're something that you're not. Possibly as a result of going through the whole subconscious mind, psychological contemplation period, because you haven't like completely sorted everything out within 6 months from now. Okay, by May Day, you know, you haven't done that. But maybe you're on track to be able to do it, and that's why there's a message of curing diseases or going on a healing journey somehow. But also it's a caution that in order to try and like get yourself better mentally, emotionally, psychologically, physically, whatever, you may make some mistakes on the way. So you got to think things through about how you're, you know, the perpetual cycle of working out what you're doing is right and trying to move forward with that. Okay, so that's the kind of feeling I'm getting from it. Very spooky tarot deck, very sort of like evil looking tarot deck. But today we've got this like really, really cool message of growth. We'll leave the unexpected future for later. Okay, we'll come to that in a minute. Now we're looking at the long-term future, which is 6 to 9 months down the line from now. This is interesting because it connects back to what we had in the anticipation of the future. Because Right, this is like what you're maybe part of what you're dreaming of, to a certain extent. And this one here says, teaches astrology and liberal sciences, reveals hidden treasure, and brings excellent familiars. Okay, whereas here it was teaches astrology. Okay, teaches astrology, teaches astrology. So we're not saying you're going to learn astrology. We are saying you're learning properly things about you which are good. Okay, reveals hidden treasure. What was the hidden treasure? Well, there it says find favor with friends and foes. There it says reveals hidden treasure. Okay? So it's like that transformative message coming out there is kind of like reaching its fulfillment between 6 and 9 months down the line from now, as a result of you going through this kind of like weird journey you're doing between now and Mayday. That would make some sense. When we look at like the bigger picture of what this story is really talking about. So something, some aspects of you sorting your life out, reaching fruition, clarity of mind, not chaos, but just like getting the knowledge which you actually wanted and want sorted out in your life brought into fruition. We had a chat there about things you used to know. Now we're having a chat there about actually getting things which you were planning to get sorted out in your life, being got sorted out in your life. Okay? Maybe there'll be less of a need for the defensive towers and stone, and maybe the destruction of stone walls is the destruction of some of the defensive things inside you, which has been holding you back from, getting yourself sorted out. I mean, we all develop like beliefs or blockages and obstacles and so on and so forth, which is very useful to us when we feel hurt. When we feel really hurt, we develop this defensive, this aggressive, this, that, and the other. Or when we're feeling held back, or we've got lots of work to do, and we can't see the way to where we need to go, we build these psychological stone walls inside us, or towers, and so that we can feel more powerful and more aggressive than we should be. Whereas basically part of this reading is saying, hey man, chill out, it's going to be okay. Because, you're going on a journey. This time, within 9 months' time, you'll start to feel much more on top of your life path. And things are, in general, maybe this is to do with your love life, your work life, your family life, your friendship life. The way in which you're standing as an individual, the way in which you need your life to be in order for a certain level of happiness to start to become manifest. All right, there's a process there. There's, it is a process. The whole thing has been talking about process and concerns about you trying to do yourself some good, right? And doing something for all the right reasons, maybe, and still getting some bad results. So, lots of research first, and don't let your enthusiasm carry you away with the whole thing. And you got to think it through. Now we'll do the scary one, shall we? It's Halloween, we'll do something scary. Nice picture of a horsey on that, isn't that lovely? The Demon Zagan. Teaches all liberal sciences. Gives an account of souls that died in sin. But also it's reversed. So what are we going to say about this now? A lot of this is to do with teaching. Maybe because it's reversed, some of the teaching you'll be getting, again, needs to be challenged. And you'll need to see through some of the negativity. And you'll need to be challenging. I mean, one thing that's really apparent by this reading is that there's just something about the knowledge or the planning or the way in which you're looking at the world will need some challenging, and you have to take some responsibility and authority over that. Even though it may be difficult because your mind is driving you in a particular direction which might not necessarily be for your own good. Does that make sense? So this reading isn't turning around to you and saying, hey man, boom, this is going to happen, it's going to be awesome, and it's all going to be lights and flowers and all this shit. No. It's coming out with more of a, watch yourself. Watch what you think. Watch what you feel. You could be wrong. Be mindful. All right, be mindful about what goes on inside you, which could be taking you in the wrong direction, which is deep. All right, we all think we're right. You know, all humans. There's even a passage in the Bible in the book of Proverbs which says every man is right in his own eyes. And you can take that passage and you can expand on that until Judgment Day. I'm telling you, it's a very deep thing to say. But I think this reading is saying that you need to look at what's going on inside your own eyes, because there could be something wrong there. And I think the reading wants you to go on this journey of growth, all right, being aware of all kinds of stuff, thinking things through, building good friendships and good allegiances, making peace with enemies, and solving your life issues. It's complicated, but it's beautiful. I mean, there's lots of like nuance there we could try and pull out of in this tarot contemplation today. I actually think that a lot of this relates to me. Very much so. And I've got to, think carefully about all kinds of stuff that this is making me think. Maybe that's the same for you. Okay? Anyway, I'll leave you with that today, and I wish you all happy Samhain, Samhain, Halloween, All Hallows Eve, Day of the Dead, Day of the Dias de Muertos, or whatever the pronunciation is for the moment. And just because, of course, it's Halloween, so we gotta have a green plastic skull. You gotta have a green plastic skull. You gotta have a green plastic skull.